Hey, what's up guys, King Derp here. I made a tier list for Summoner's Greed, and I'm doing it for expensive monsters first, just because a lot of people seem to already know, what's good about the cheap monsters, because they're easier to get, they're, not as expensive, and a lot of the expensive monsters can be kind of confusing, and they either sound better or worse than they actually are. So I wanted to clear that up today in this video. And I'll try and explain what their, specials are and attack. Because I know a lot of you probably don't have any of these monsters. You might realize that Rudolph isn't on here, and that's because he actually isn't expensive. He's the only cheap special monster in the game. So we're not going to include him on this tier list. Again, this is a expensive tier list. I'll be doing a cheap tier list sometime in the future. S tier. We have Hellhound, and Hellhound, in my opinion, is the best monster in the game. Now that might sound a little confusing, seeing as the special only buffs. His special is that he buffs monsters next to him by a certain amount. So when he's level 400, it doesn't change when he's past 400. It'll just be the same amount. It will boost monsters by 2,035%. The problem is that Mighty already boosts monsters by, I think, 3,633% when you have them with 3 gold stars. So you might be wondering why he's up all the way here, and that's because there's actually a bug with him. I'm pretty sure it's a bug. I don't think it's intentional that when you get more stars of him, right, let's say he's at 3 bronze stars, he's actually going to be doing more damage than Mighty at that point. And so if you have 3 gold stars and he's level 400, instead of boosting by 2,035%, right, he's going to be boosting by 42,000%, which is a lot better than Mighty. And this extra damage might seem a little bit, I don't know, unnecessary, but it actually is helpful in like nightmare game modes and in order to beat the Ice Queen's Tempest, which someone has beat now. And so yeah, that's why Hellhound's the best. I mean, obviously the reason he's so high is just because he's just way too good at what he's meant to do. He's not meant to do this much damage. Alright, so moving on to Felina. I think this is pretty obvious. Again, her special does 10 times the amount of her regular damage, and her base attack is 3 times that of Slime King. So she's going to be doing 30 times the amount of damage of Slime King with her special. It's also map wide, which is nice. And so we're moving on to Archangel Castiel. He's basically tied with Pony Spark, so you have almost identical stats in terms of attack speed and damage. And they also cost the same amount. I mean, all the monsters on here cost the same amount, by the way. If that wasn't obvious. And Archangel Castiel is slightly better, and I like Pony Sparks better, but it's because Archangel Castiel can permastall monsters even behind him. I covered this in my permastalling video, so if you haven't seen that, go watch it. Shameless plug, I know. But they're basically neck and neck though. They're almost interchangeable. I would still say Archangel Castiel's overall slightly better though. Alright, so moving on to A tier, we have Archimedes. And Archimedes is only good because of his special. His main attack is okay. The damage isn't that good. It shoots a laser, which it sounds better than it actually is. The laser doesn't do that much damage, and it is kind of slow, so not that good. Alright, Archangel Amiel. I covered this in my permastalling video. He does not permastall. He is decently close. I would still say use Archimedes instead of Amiel. Oh yeah, also I forgot to mention a nice combo with Archimedes is Speedy, just because you're going to be, his special freezes everything on the screen for 2 seconds, which is really good. And with Speedies, they're only going to have like a second to move, which is really, really good. Anyway, moving on. We have no B tier. Well, I mean, we do. We just don't have any monsters in it. And that's because I don't feel like any monster really deserves to be B tier, any expensive monster. I mean, just because there's no, I don't know, maybe Malik could be in B, but like, he's not like great. These are more just for the straight up damage monsters. You'll see in a second. These are basically monsters that just do damage and nothing else. So Archangel Malik, I mean, yeah, his damage is good. It's kind of expensive. Not much to say about him. And yeah, moving on to Archangel Gabriel. So I see a lot of misunderstandings about this character. A lot of people seem to think immediately, they're like, whoa, he's so cool. He does non-elemental damage. He does more damage than the other Archangels. And they're like, it's just the best monster in the game. Yeah, I'm sorry, that's not true. He's not that great, if I'm being honest. Because there's a couple reasons. So first of all, elemental damage in this game is not actually that necessary, I guess. So you don't need to worry if like you have the wrong elemental types, wrong elemental types of whatever. You get my point. The only time you really need to worry about that is Ice Queen's Tempest, and that he's like okay. And so in order to just make it so that his only gimmick is not doing elemental damage, they made it so that his base attack is 1.5 times as much as a regular Archangel, which I mean it does help. So he does do more damage with just his main attack, but his special does less damage than say Malik. And also, you know, there's like you can use power stones to make like fire damage, for example, do more damage, which makes Malik just even better. So yeah, he's slightly worse than Malik. I'm sorry. I know I love Archangel Gabriel, but unfortunately, he's just okay. Alright, so moving on to D tier, we have Crispy. Crispy is actually a little bit underrated, but unfortunately, he's just straight up damage. And the problem with straight up damage for expensive monsters is that it's just not worth it. It just costs way too much, and there's better monsters. And I mean, the damage is okay. It just takes way too long to get there, if that makes any sense. And there are monsters that do a better job than him. The special is pretty good, and it works anywhere on the map. That's about it, though. That's it. Alright, so Darkwing. I see a lot of misconceptions about Darkwing. Darkwing is not... I don't want to say not good. He's just not great. He's okay. He's okay. That's it. He's just okay. His special is standard. It's not, like, amazing. And even if you evolve him, which I don't recommend evolving monsters besides like Slimy unless it's just for fun, he's still not that great, just cause Crispy is still better even if you evolve him, and his damage output it's fine. It's not like special or anything. Ironic, right? A special monster not being that special. So moving on to Mummy King, he's again one of those just damage monsters, and he's okay. His special's a little bit underwhelming, and his range is fine. It's not great. That's it. There's not much about him. Moving on to E tier. There's no E tier. I didn't put any monsters in there. You know, so I don't really feel like any monster's E tier. Maybe you could put Mummy King in there. I don't know. I just don't feel like any monster deserves E tier. But you know who deserves even lower than E tier is Cronus. And as you can see, he's in commit Lego step because that is exactly where he belongs. You know, let me tell you why he's bad. Maybe he was good before. I think he was at some point. I don't even remember. Maybe they nerfed him or something. But the thing about Cronus is that he's not good on any level of the game. Like, for new players, he's just too expensive, and his damage output for what you're paying is not worth it. For intermediate players, he's still not worth it. Because you're paying, like, what, 40 times the amount of the cost of, what's it called, Ash, right? Who does, like, the same thing, but better. So he's more expensive than Ash, and by that time you will have legendaries. And it's just 40 times as expensive. He doesn't permastall or anything like that. So that's not good. His special doesn't do any more damage, which even if it did, he'd still probably be in commit Lego step. But there's just, oh yeah, and as an advanced player, by the way, also again, he's still not helpful because then by that point, there's no reason to use him. Don't level him up or anything. Don't make the mistake I did, because I leveled him up back when I thought he was good. It's not good. Don't use him. Yeah, he sucks, basically. There's just, don't use Cronus. Alright, just make a promise to me, do not use Cronus. Alright, well that's it. If you liked the video, like. If you didn't like the video, dislike, and I'll see you guys in the next one.